3, 2, 1.
We check the time of PSC, right?
Okay, everyone got your responses in? Alright, so I'm gonna stop there.
My timing is around the same.
11. Okay, so 11 of you.
That's 4.
Responded.
That's also again.
And it looks like the topological sort portion was very clear. There was a graphical approach to topological sort. So maybe we'll go over that one more time, just a little bit. Okay, so remember yesterday we were talking about topological sort. Let me just go over this quickly again so that it reinforces what we covered yesterday. So for topological sort, remember what we wanted for the input. So what was our input? The DAG, right? Our input was a switch on. A DAG, okay, so graph, specifically a DAG, represented as an adjacency list. Okay, so that was our input. And for output, we wanted a list of nodes in topological order. So what do we mean by topological order? We mean that no node in a list, right, in the topological order list can have an incoming edge from a node that appears later. So what do our edges represent? Remember, our edges represents constraints, right? So you want to do one task before another, that's a constraint, okay? I want to, for example, in our example of making cookies, we have to mix the flour, sugar, and eggs before we put the cookies in the oven, that's it. Alright? So we need to mix our batter before putting the cookies in the oven. If we don't mix our batter, we don't have any cookies to put in the oven. Right? So these are our constraints. Now, our first idea was to basically say, let's simplify the problem, right? And then we see how we do it. So we simplify the problem with this very simple DAG, right? This simple DAG is a line. And then we say, hey, where should I start? I should start with A, right? A has no incoming edges, so I can start there. A has no dependencies, right? So I can start there. So I remove A, and then I repeat this process, right? So this approach was quite straightforward. We just kept finding the node which has no incoming edges, and then we kept adding that to our list, right? To our ordered list. And this list will be in topological order, right? So that's our simple approach. And we can repeat this. We can generalize this to the more complex setting where the DAG is not aligned. And we see here that all we need to do is to find a node which has no incoming edge. We add that node to the list, we remove that node and all its outgoing edges, and we repeat that process. So here, shop has no incoming edges. Okay, so we take that out, we remove all its edges, right, and we repeat this process. So now we look again, which of these nodes has no incoming edges, right? There are 3 of them. It's beat eggs, 100 flour and sugar, and turn on oven. So 3 of them have no incoming edges. We can pick any one of them. All right, here I take measured flour and sugar, then I go to beat eggs, and then I go to mix flour, sugar, and eggs, clean kitchen, and I repeat this process until I'm done. Okay, so that's the idea. So this Kant's algorithm, we analyzed this algorithm and we found that it was OB plus E, right? Very simply, it's the same as BFS. So, I will start with general strategy. Let's see. Okay, so this was like BFS. Then the BFS approach kind of inspired a second approach, which was DFS, right? Can we use DFS? And we can, all right? DFS approach, intuitively what you're doing. So in the BFS approach, in Kant's algorithm, we were picking the step that had no incoming edges, all right? That was our first step. In the DFS approach, what we want to find is the last step, all right? I'm going to fill up my topological ordered list in reverse order. So I want to find the last step first. Okay, what should be the last step? Intuitively, what should be the last step? Should the last step be a step with no incoming edges? No. No outgoing, that's right. So the last step should be a step which has no outgoing edges. Right? So that's the edge we want to find. Okay, so how do we find that edge? We find the edge, the node, using DFS. Okay? So we want to find a node which has no outgoing edges. What we're going to do is we're going to run DFS until we find one of these nodes, right, which has no outgoing edges, and we will stop there, and then we add that node to our list. Okay, and then we can repeat the process similar to the DFS approach. So here's the key idea. Here's an example. We start at any node. Okay, we start at any node. Just randomly pick one. Okay, and you just run DFS on it. In this case, we start with measure flour sugar, and then we DFS all the way down to take out cookies. Right? We keep following that. So we went from measure flour sugar to we run DFS. Right? DFS is recursive. We run DFS again, DFS, and then we end up at take out cookies. And take out cookies has no outgoing edges. Okay? It has no outgoing edges, so this can be our last step, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take out cookies. That's going to be our last step. Now we backtrack. Right? In our DFS, we backtrack. We backtrack to cookies in oven. Right? And cookies oven still has children, so we have to explore all its, all its neighbors. So we go down its neighbors, and the neighbor there is set timer. Now set timer has no, we've already visited take out cookies, so we don't visit it again. Meaning now it doesn't have any more outgoing edges, right? Other than to know that it's already been visited. So now we can add set timer. We backtrack again. Cookies in oven now has no neighbors, right? No neighbors that we haven't visited, so we will add cookies in oven. And then we backtrack again and again. You just repeat this process until you are done. Okay? So confusing portion happens here. Alright, so you backtrack all the way up to measure flour and sugar, which is what we started off with. Alright, so we add that to our list. Now, what do? You can again randomly pick any unvisited node. Okay, you can randomly pick big eggs, shop, or turn on oven, up to you what you want. Here we pick shop. Okay, you don't have to pick shop. Okay, we pick shop, and then we run DFS on shop again. So you repeat the whole process again. Run DFS shop, they'll go down to big eggs. Big eggs, all its neighbors are already visited, right? So you can just do it, right? So you add it, you add shop, and then finally you just repeat the process again. We turn on oven, and we turn on oven. Again, there are no more unvisited neighbors, so we can just add it in. Okay, so the key idea, remember, is that instead of adding nodes which have no incoming edges, we're going to add it in reverse order, looking at nodes that have no outgoing edges. And then you figure out the rest of the step. Okay, so that's the idea behind the topological sort algorithms that we covered yesterday. Alright, so let's move on to today's lecture. Okay, so today we're going to cover SSSP, or single source shortest paths. Right? So today we'll be talking about how we can do shortest path, unweighted graph, and weighted graphs. Right? We'll be talking about the Bellman-Ford algorithm. We'll be talking about the time complexity, and then trying to figure out when it will fail. Today's lecture will be a different style slightly. We're going to be doing, this will be a slightly proof-heavy lecture. Okay? I'm warning you up front, it's going to be slightly proof-heavy. The reason is that we're going to establish some facts about shortest paths, and then we're going to use that to inspire an algorithm. Okay, so it's a slightly different way of deriving algorithms. I want to introduce you to it. Okay. So again, we're going to find Herbert. This is our problem. We're going to find Herbert's gone missing in the solar system. But yesterday was a bit artificial. We said that the lengths, are all fixed length. This is not true in general, right? Usually you want to find the shortest path to Herbert, right? And it's not just a number of tunnel connections. You want to find the tunnels which are the shortest, where the shortest distance, let's say, shortest time. So this is a very common problem. So if you want to route yourself on Google Maps, for example, you find directions. Google Maps gives you, for example, the shortest time here, right? Distance, but you can order it differently. You can order it based also on the shortest distance. So for example, let's show a live example. So you guys know. So I'm going to Changi later today to fetch my family from the airport. So let's say Changi Terminal 2. And I'll go to the wrong terminal. My kid's very upset. And maybe we start at SOC. Okay, so Google does this. It's very fast, right? I managed to find the shortest path from my workplace, which is here, all the way to Terminal 2, right? Actually, this problem is given a start and destination. Okay, this is a single source, single destination problem where we are trying to find. Today we're going to talk about more general tasks, right? Which is given a single source and a graph, I'm going to find the shortest path from that source to all other vertices in the graph. And it turns out that it's the same time complexity as finding just given one pair. Okay? Alright, so this is an example of shortest path. This happens a lot, right? If you want to route a packet on the internet, or you want to route let's say, on a real transportation network, then you want to solve this problem, which is shortest path. Shortest path is used a lot, right? We play games, for example, you have an AI enemy who's trying to find its way to you, that also uses the shortest path algorithm. Alright? So there's a different kind of weights that can be attached to each edge. It can be a time to send, cost to send, risk of going missing. All these things can be weights, okay, different weights, things that you want to minimize. So for example, if you had this very long-winded road, right, you have a certain cost, or if you take a helicopter, then the cost is different. Maybe it's more expensive, but the time to send is much lower, right? Okay, so we're going to introduce the concept of weighted graphs. So far, we haven't talked about weighted graphs yet, other than the slight allusions that I gave you before. But in the previous lectures, we have just been considering each edge are kind of the same, right? They have the same kind of cost associated with them. Here, we are going to introduce edge weights, right, given by some function W. And this function, people familiar with this kind of notation? So W is a function that takes in edges, okay, and it brings you from the space of edges to the real number space. So it gives you some real number, right, telling you the cost of the particular edge. Okay? So for example, you can take this as how much money you have to pay. If all these are roads, and each road has an ERP gantry, then the weight is how much you have to pay for each ERP gantry, and you want to minimize that weight, let's say. Okay? Minimize the whole. You can also think of distance, right? So if you're minimizing distance, each one of these weights represents the distance of this particular edge. Okay? So that's an example of another weight. So the shortest path problems you can cast, there are many different kinds of shortest path problems. The first one is, let's say, how far it is from some start destination to some source node to a destination node, S to D, right? In this graph, it is this path here, all right, with cost 6. Okay. You can ask yourself, what is the shortest path? So instead of just the distance, right? What is the path? You can find the shortest path from S to every other node in the graph, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. And you want to find the shortest path between every pair of nodes. That's all pairs shortest path, and we look at that later in the semester. Okay. So today we'll be focusing on this one, but this one will allow us to solve these two. Okay. So these two are basically special cases of this problem, and then later we'll look at this more difficult problem. Okay. So let's look at distance from the source. So here, this distance is, as I said before, 6. Right? Here's a quick question. Can we use BFS for this? Can we use BFS? How many people say yes, we can use BFS? BFS? How many say no? Cannot use BFS. Turns out, we cannot use BFS. BFS only gives us the minimum number of hops, okay? Not distance. So hops just means I count how many edges, okay? Not the distance, right? I want the minimum distance to go. And the distance is measured in terms of the weights. Okay, so those are, you have to keep that very clear in your mind. Here's a very clear example where BFS will fail. Okay, so imagine if you have this graph, okay, which you have seen before, and I add in like this weight is extremely expensive. Okay, then I run BFS, and BFS will stop there and give me this path, which we know is not the right path. Okay, it's not the shortest path because it runs across this very, very expensive edge, and the reason is that BFS doesn't consider these edge weights. Okay, so you cannot use BFS if I'm asking you about shortest path with weighted edges, unless in very special cases, and we'll look at special cases later. Okay, so I'm going to introduce some notation. I'm going to introduce the delta symbol. Okay, so this delta symbol, when I put in UV, it means this is the minimum distance from U to V. Okay, this is the length of the shortest path. Okay, I'm going to use this notation to indicate the length of the shortest path. Right? I'm going to use another symbol later called D, right? Not delta, but D, and that's going to be our estimate. Right? If D may not equal to delta. Okay, D may not equal to delta. Right? So this, we start off not knowing this, but after we run our algorithm, this is what we want to find out. Okay, this is our target, but we don't know it in advance. Okay, so let's start off with some properties of shortest path. Okay, so if all weights are positive, let's say all weights are positive, can the shortest path contain a cycle? So intuitively, in your head, you should be going, I don't think so, right? I don't think that the shortest path can contain a cycle. So let's prove this ourselves. Okay, so this is the first lemma. We'll take it slow. So if G, a certain graph, contains only positive weights, then the shortest path P from a source vertex S to B must be a simple path. Now what do we mean by a simple path? So a simple path, right, simple path, is defined as a path P, so it's just an ordered, I think I should do this is better. Okay, ordered ordered couple of vertices, right, leading from one node to another. Okay, because every pair here, every couple here is an edge. Okay, and there are no repeated vertices along this path. Okay, so there are no cycles. Right, there are no cycles because there are no repeated edges. Okay, so it's a simple path. So everyone understand this definition? It's very important to understand this definition. We'll be coming to it a lot. So a path, right, this simple path is just an ordered couple of vertices, right, nodes, okay, where each pair, one after the other, okay, these are all edges. Okay, these are all edges. Okay, so these all are edges that exist in the graph. Okay, so visually, what this means is if you had a graph that, let's say, something like this. Okay, a path is simply, right, a sequence of, change the color. A simple path is simply a sequence of steps, okay, sequence of edges from one node to another. Okay, so let's just say we have a source, destination here. This is a path, right, from S to D. A simple path. This is a simple path. Not a simple. If you had a cycle like this, so if you went like this, okay, this is not a simple path, right? So my claim is that if there are only positive weights in the graph, then the shortest path P must be a simple path. You cannot have any cycles. So that's my claim. And so we want to prove this. And so you might be wondering, well, why the hell do you want to prove anything? It turns out proving stuff is actually will be part of your toolkit. Okay? When you graduate as computer scientists, proving stuff will be one of the skills that you are expected to have. Okay? Along with all the other kind of skills that you're going to develop, okay, over the years here. Proving stuff is very important. If not, you guys are building the next generation of software. Okay, you're in charge of this, right? And our world runs on software. Previously, there was civil engineering was big, right? And if you don't plan stuff correctly, it leads to very bad outcomes, like this or this, right? So imagine you build a road, build, and then you get to the center and you realize, oh wait, we're off, right? Which is exactly what happened here. If you can prove in advance, right, that this will not happen, this saves you a lot of money, time, and a lot of money. Okay? So you want proving stuff actually has consequences, right? Especially if you want to prove that something works, right? If you prove something works, it saves you time from implementing something that's wrong. Okay, so that's very important. Proofs have to have a certain flavor. It's an argument basically. There's nothing very special about proofs, I think. It's just a logical argument to convince others, convince yourself that whatever your claim is true. Your proposition, your theorem, your lemma is true. So you cannot have like miracle leaps in your proof. So this is one of my favorite topics, right? Then a miracle occurs, and then you have the conclusion here. You have to be explicit. All the steps have to be explicit, all right, in a proof, because it's a logical argument, right? So you cannot have steps like, some magic and then end, right? That is not a valid proof, right? A proof is only as strong as each chain, okay? Each link in the chain, okay? A proof is like a chain, and if one of the links is weak, then your proof falls apart, okay? So you have to be very careful with proofs. There are a lot of different kind of proof methods. I think most of you have taken 1, 2, 3, 1. So you know a lot of different kind of proof methods already. It's direct, induction. Induction is one of the things that we use a lot. Proofs have a very long history. They were kind of invented by the Greeks, ancient Greeks. This is from Euclid's Elements, the very famous textbook on geometry. And the first proof went back to Thales. So there are many different kind of proof methods. Today we'll be using 3 of them. We'll be doing direct proof, mathematical induction, and contradiction. Okay, we'll be using these 3, but I'm sure you've seen all the other kind of proofs before, and we'll be seeing them again. Okay, so let's start. This is lemma 1, right? So lemma 1 says that, look, if there are only positive weights, then the shortest path P, right, must be a simple path. So how are we going to show this? We're going to show this by contradiction. Right, so if you don't remember what the steps of the strategy for contradiction is, so this is a strategy. You first assume that some statement is false, let's say not P, okay, assume it's false, and then you show through some arguments that this will lead to 2 contradictory statements, Q and not Q. Okay, once you show that it leads to 2 contradictory statements, it must be the case that not P is false, so P must be true. So this is a strategy. You show that basically if you assume this to be true, it leads to some nonsensical result. And because it's a nonsensical result, your initial assumption must be false. Okay, so it must be true. Okay, so we're going to start this up. So suppose that the shortest path P is not a simple path. We assume that it's not a simple path. Okay, so this we're going to show that this leads to some nonsensical result. Okay, so P must contain at least 1 cycle. Okay. So there is a cycle C in P with positive weight. Okay, because we say all weights must be positive. So it looks something like that. This example. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and this is they mentioned this is the shortest path, and there is some cycle there with some positive weight. Now it's a little bit strange you have this shortest path because what you can do is you can remove this cycle. Okay, once you remove the cycle, then you will have a shortest path, right? Because imagine if you're getting from this red node to the orange node, right? This is our shortest path. And then if this was the shortest path and I remove this, and then I have a shortest path, what does that mean? It means that I have a contradiction, right? Because earlier I said this is the shortest path. It cannot be the shortest path. This is wrong, right? This is nonsensical already. So P must be a simple path. P cannot have any cycles, right? So again, look at every step. And every step, I've basically taken one little argument, right? One point, right? And I've shown that at the end, this leads to some nonsensical result. So my initial assumption must be false. Okay? So this was my initial assumption, and this assumption was false. So P must be a simple path. Okay. So now I've shown this that if it contains only positive weights, right, it must be a simple path. But you might be saying, graphs don't just have positive weights sometimes. Sometimes you might have non-positive weights. So what about 0 weights? What happens if you have a path that looks like this? Right? Then your shortest path maybe looks, you can go here and then back down like this. But it's still a shortest path, right, in terms of the weights. Because this don't contribute anything. Right? This don't contribute anything to the overall cost. Right? So that's true. 0 cycles can occur if you have 0 weights. But you can just remove them. You can just remove them, and it doesn't change the distance of your shortest path, right? The shortest path still exists. You have just removed this useless cycle. Okay. What about negative weights? So it turns out we can deal with negative weights. All the algorithms that we considered today can deal perfectly well with negative weights. Okay, but they cannot deal with negative weights. This is the shortest path, for example. So imagine if you are driving, a car, okay, from S to T. Now, what this to say is probably like, okay, I drive here, I use 4 units of petrol. I drive here, I use another 6 units of petrol. Here, I go to a petrol station, and then I fill up again, and then I continue my journey. Okay, so you can have negative weights. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. But you shouldn't have negative weight cycles. So what are negative weight cycles? Negative weight cycles are these cycles when the total weight is negative. Okay, so if you look here, if you go 2, -6, -2, then the total weight of this cycle is -6, right? So what happens in this case? It means that the shortest path doesn't make sense anymore, right? Because the shortest path is basically infinite, right? The shortest negative infinity eventually. So you can keep going in this cycle, keep going forever, and here you keep decreasing your weight, right, up to negative infinity. So this doesn't make much sense. So we basically assume, for the most part, no negative weight cycle, right? We'll look at how to deal with them later on. Okay, so negative weight cycles make this problem fairly ill-defined. So we don't like them. We don't like negative weight cycles. Okay. All right. So as long as we have no negative weight cycles, we can say that the shortest path will be a simple path. Okay, doesn't matter if it's just positive or negative, but as long as there are no negative weight cycles, we are good. All right, as long as that doesn't exist. So what does this mean? I give you a graph, and I ask you about shortest paths. So how long can each shortest path be? How many edges can there be on the shortest path? How long can it be? So every shortest path effectively is it's a simple path, so it's like a line. And we know something about lines. How many edges does every line have? B minus 1, right? Okay, so from your little proof, right, about shortest path being simple paths, we know something now about the shortest path. It's a very general property. And the general property is this: it cannot have more than b minus 1 edges. Okay? It cannot have this. Any shortest path cannot have more than b minus 1 edges, provided no negative weight cycles. Okay? Provided no negative weight cycles. Okay, so let's try to figure out some other properties of shortest paths. This is another one. It's called the triangle inequality. So most of you know the triangle inequality from geometry. Okay, you know this from triangles. So you know that the distance from, let's say, this point Z, this length Z, must be smaller than x plus y. Right? We all know this from high school, right? Even from elementary school, right? So we know that this distance Z must be less than x plus y. When is it equal? When is it equal? If I move this point down, until it touches the line, then it's equal, right? Then x equals plus y equals to z. Alright, so that's the only time that it's equal. Otherwise, z will always be less than x plus y. Okay? Alright, so it turns out that for graphs, we also have a triangle inequality. Right? The triangle inequality is as follows. For any edge, UV, the shortest path, the shortest distance, right, the minimum distance from S to B, right, must be smaller than or equal to the minimum distance from S to U plus the weight from U to B. So what does this mean, right? It means that the shortest distance must be less or equal to. So I can do two things. I can either go from S to B via some path, right, or I go through S to B via U, right? I go through U, all right. So if I go through U, it must be the case that the distance, the shortest path, includes U or not. Right? There's only two possibilities. The shortest must include U or not. Right? If it doesn't include U, then this shortest path should be smaller. Right? Because it's the shortest possible distance, it must be smaller. Right? If it includes U, then it must be the case that this part, right, is the shortest path. That's the equal sign. Right? Right? Sorry, if it doesn't include U, then this part must be larger. Sorry, this part must be larger. Right? If it doesn't include U. Right? Because I'm taking a detour. I go through U and then I go from U to B. Right? That's a detour. So that has to be larger. It cannot be the shortest distance. Right? Because U is not in the shortest path. Right? So two cases. One case is that it's the shortest path, in which case it must be the case that they are equal, or I will be basically taking a detour, a longer detour through U, and so it will be larger. Okay? So this has to be true. Okay? So you can prove it again by contradiction, right? So you suppose that the path, right, is larger. Okay? Suppose that the shortest distance from S to B, right, is larger than S to U and then U to B. Okay? So this is some path. This is some path from S to U, right? The shortest distance from S to U, and then from U to B, you just take one hop. Okay? Now you assume this to be true. Then what you can do is you can take the path from S to U and then U to B, right? And that's going to be shorter because this part is smaller than this part, right? So this couldn't have been the shortest distance in the beginning. Okay, the assumption is wrong. Hence, That's contradiction again. So it must be the case that this statement must be true. Okay, that the shortest, the minimum distance, right, from S to B must be smaller or equal to smaller or equal to the minimum distance from S to U plus the one hop that you need to make, right, the weight of that one hop from U to B. Okay. So you travel. Let's give the example. So if you take S, right, and I want to get to C. Okay. So what is the shortest distance from S to C? What's the shortest distance from S to C? Which path should I take? SBC. Blue is not good. Let's use red. I go here, and then I go here. Right? So the minimum cost from S to C is 3. Okay, the minimum cost from S to C is 3. Now, if you check, right, against all the other nodes, it must be the case that this minimum distance must be smaller than or equal to the minimum distance from S to the other node, let's say U, okay, and then plus the weight from U to C. Okay, this must be true. Now, why is that? Because there are two other nodes here, B and A, alright? One of them is on the shortest path, right? B is on the shortest path. Now, if you look at the distance from S to B, let's say S to B, let's look at this one. That's going to be 1 plus the weight from B to C, which is 2, it's going to be 3, obviously. Right? You go through B, and then you step one hop to C. Now, if you decide to go through A, right, you take a detour through A, right? That means that you go this way and this way, right? This way and this way, right? So this will be 3 plus 4, right? You've gone this way instead, this way. So you've taken basically another route, right, to include another node A, where A is not the shortest path. So it must be the case, right, that is longer because it's not the shortest path. Okay. All right. So oops. So okay. All right. So here's that kind of inspires a kind of algorithm, right, for doing shortest path analysis, which is that we want to find, maybe we want to maintain an estimate for the distance at each node. Okay, we're going to maintain a distance estimate at each node, and then we're going to keep reducing that. We're going to try to keep reducing that as our algorithm proceeds. And our invariant is such that the distance always must be larger or equal to the minimum distance. Okay, and at the end we want it to be equal. Okay, and we want to keep reducing this. Alright? So we're going to initialize, we're going to assume that every node has a distance estimate. Okay? We're going to call that D. Okay, that's of that node. That's it, A. Okay? And this is going to keep track of my estimate of the minimum distance so far. It's not necessarily equal to the minimum distance. Okay? It's just going to be my estimate of it. Right? My guess of what it should be. Now initially when I don't know anything, it's going to be infinite. Alright, because I don't know what it is. But initially it's going to be infinite, and then as I proceed, then it's going to be smaller and smaller. Okay? The only difference is at my start node, and my start node distance must be 0. Right? My distance must be 0 because it doesn't cost me anywhere to go to where I am. Okay, so it must be 0. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce an operation. The operation is called relaxation. Okay, the operation is called relaxation. And the key idea behind relaxation is this. We want to test, right, using the principle from the triangle inequality, we want to test if the best way to get from S to B is first to go through some unknown W, okay, and then from W to B. If it is the case that it's better to go through W, then we should update our distance estimate. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's repeat that again. The idea behind relaxation is this. I already have some, let's say, distance estimate for getting from S to B. Alright? So let's say that's my initial distance estimate. This is infinite to start, or maybe 10,000 or some large number. Now I see, is it better for me to go through S to W and then W to B? If that is smaller, then I should go through W, and so I'm going to update my distance estimate, right, accordingly. So that's the idea. The algorithm is for relaxation, or the code for relaxation is very simple. Right? And what I'm trying to do is this. I'm going to check. I check if the distance estimate from S to B is larger than the distance estimate from U to B, sorry, for S to U, okay, and then U to B. And if it is, then I'm just going to update my distance estimate. Okay, it's just the I principle I said before, right? I'm going to check whether I should go through U or not. Right? If I go through U, then I update my distance estimate. If I don't, then I leave it. Okay, my distance estimate remains the same. So let's do an example here. So everything starts off as infinite. Okay, I'm going to do a series of relaxations, right? So everything starts off infinite except at the source when it's 0. Okay, so now I check. All right, S to A, this edge. All right, I'm going to relax this edge. Right? So I replace S here and A here. I check. Is the distance, right? My distance estimate is initially infinite. I check whether it is bigger than the distance from to U, which is S in this case, plus this weight. So this side is going to be infinite. This side is going to be what? This U is what is this value initially? So this is equal to D of S, which is equals to 0. This is equal to 3. This is infinite. Which is bigger? Infinity. This side is smaller. So this is relates into true. So I'm going to update my distance estimate here. This guy. I need to update it because now I know that the distance is not infinite. Actually, I can get there. Alright, I can get there. I just have to start at S and then take a hop from S1, follow this edge, and then I'll get to that node. Okay? So I'm just going to update this to this value, which is 3. Okay? Now I'm going to repeat this process for other edges. So now I'm going to do this for this edge. Alright, I'm going to do this for this edge. Again, you repeat the process, so it's going to be infinite here. This to A is 3 plus 4. Okay, this is going to be 7. Again, it's going to be smaller, so I'm going to update. Let's check this edge, right? So this edge, let's go this edge, right? If this edge, again, you check its infinity, this is easy, you just update it, 4. So now, I've come to I'm going to try to relax this edge, alright, this edge. I check. My distance is 4, okay? I can go from S directly to B, which is 0, plus 5. This part is 5. Is this true? No, it's not, right? So that means I don't change my distance estimate. My shortest path is not to go directly here, but actually to take this route. Okay? So that's what relaxation buys you. You can see this again for this case. So here it's 7. If once I relax this edge, I'm going to get 6. Okay, is that right? 5, 4. Yeah, okay. So instead of going 5 this way, right? I'm going to, instead of going this way, is what I did initially, I'm going to go this way. Right? 4. Again, I relax this edge. So this will be 4. This was initially 7. This was initially 7. 4 plus 2, this is 6. So I'm going to update my estimate. The shortest distance to get there is 6, right? Not 7. Okay, so you get an idea behind the relaxation method. Right? It's very simple. I basically check. Right? Is it better to go through some other node, or should I just maintain my estimate as it is? Let's show some properties of relaxation. Okay, I'm going to show 3 properties of relaxation. The first is the upper bound property. I'm going to make a claim. You guys go home and prove it yourselves. You can do via deduction. All right, it's not very difficult. But essentially, it says this. It says that if you have the case that the distance estimate, right? We always have the case that the distance estimate will be larger than the lowest possible. Okay, which is the shortest distance. All right, so D must be larger or equal to delta. Okay, this is our, remember this is our estimate. This is our estimate. This is our estimate. And this is the true shortest distance. Okay, so our estimate will always be larger or equal to the true shortest distance. Okay. Now once this is achieved, then the distance becomes the true shortest distance it will never change. Okay, and you can prove this to yourselves using the property, using the relaxation. Okay, by looking directly at relaxation and you prove by induction. Okay, I'll leave that as an exercise. So notation note. I got tired of writing DSV like this. So I'm just going to call it DV, right? And then this means DSV from some source node. Alright? It's usually clear by context. I'm just dropping this, otherwise it gets there's a lot of clutter, notation clutter, and it makes the slide unreadable. So I'm going to drop that explicit dependence. Okay? But anytime it's unclear, you just flag it to me. Okay, so that's property of the upper bound. We're going to prove two more properties, okay, and we're going to use one after the other. Alright? So we're going to use the upper bound property in order to prove the convergence property. Okay? So what does the convergence property say? The convergence property says this. If S to U, so this symbol means there is some path, okay? It may not be a one direct edge. Okay, there is some series of edges leading from S to U, and then one hop only from U to V. Okay, a series of hops from S to U, and then one hop from U to V. It's the shortest path from S to V, and the distance for U, the distance estimate for U is equal to the minimum distance estimate. Okay, that means that the distance estimate for U is already correct. Right, it's already the minimum possible before relaxing edge UV. Okay, so I haven't relaxed this edge yet. Okay, if these two conditions are satisfied, then after I relax UV, then the distance estimate for V will also be correct. Okay, it will also be the minimum possible. Okay, so it means that if there's already some path, okay, some path from S to V, all right, that's the shortest path. Okay, that's the shortest path. And along that path, the node before V, the distance estimate is correct. When I relax the edge from U to V, my distance estimate for V also becomes correct. Right? So how you can show this is quite straightforward. Here's pictorially what's going on. You have some start node, you have traveled some way to U, okay, and you have updated your distance so that it's correct. Okay, let's assume this is the case. Okay. Now I'm going to relax this edge. I may have some other distance estimate here before, okay, that I pre-computed before, alright, some other distance estimate. Maybe it's infinity, maybe it's not, alright. But I know that, right, my distance array will be less than this after I do my relaxation. Now, because I've relaxed to equal to this, right? Because I'm using my distance, because the distance estimate is correct, and this is the shortest path. Right? So because it's on the shortest path, it must be the case that the distance estimate for UV is equal to I have to go through U and then take the hop from U to V. Right? So this says I go through U and then I take the hop from U to V, and that is equal to the minimum distance estimate for V. Right? Step by step. And then I know that from the upper bound property, right, that we didn't prove before, but I can, right, that once you achieve this, it never changes. No matter how many relaxations I do, this will never change. My distance, once it's correct, once my distance estimate is correct, no matter how many relaxations I do, it will never change that to be wrong again. Okay? It will always be correct. Okay? So this means that once I update, right, once I update it according to this path, right, according to this path, then it won't change. My distance estimate will already be correct. Okay, so I'm going to use this convergence property to prove the path relaxation property. And this is going to be the key step, right? So if you don't remember anything else, this is the one to remember. Okay, the path relaxation property is the key step here. Now the path relaxation property says this: if my path P is the shortest path and it's of this form, right? It is some ordered couple of vertices, right, from V to K. And remember now that each one of these is an edge in my graph. Okay, it's the shortest path from S to V, S equals to V naught to Vk. And if we relax the edges of P, right? So if I relax the edges of P, right, this form, in this order, so the first V0, V1 first, then V1, V2, and so on and so forth, up to Vk minus 1 Vk, then my distance estimate is correct. By correct, I mean it is the minimum distance, okay, from S to VK. Okay, so let's repeat that. It says that, look, I have a certain path. Okay, this path so my graph looks a bit like this, let's say. Okay. Let's say this is my shortest path. Let's just say. Okay. Now this is going to be E1, E2, E3. I'm going to call this E0, E1, E2, and E3. Alright? So that means that if I relax E1, E2, E3 in this order, okay, my distance to V3 will be equal to the correct shortest distance. Okay, it will be the correct value. Alright, that's what this path relaxation property states. Alright, if I relax it in this order, so I raise E1 first, then E2, then E3. Okay, so that's what I need to do to get this right. Now, this property holds. The nice thing about this property is that it holds regardless of any other relaxation steps that can occur, even if I interleave the other steps inside. So, for example, if I do V0, V1, and then VIVJ for some VIVJ, and then I continue on my order, it will still result in the correct estimate. So, for example, let's give our example here. Let's just say I do relax E1, right? And then after that, let's say I call this E4 and E5. Let's say I decide to relax E5, E4, E2, E3. Okay? If I do this order, I will still get the correct estimate for DV3 in the end. Okay? It doesn't matter if I do other steps along the way. Okay? It will still result in the correct estimate for V3. Okay? So I could do, for example, E1, 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 E2, E2, E4, E3, and it will still result in the correct estimate for V3 here. Alright? So remember this, it doesn't matter as long as I have put them in order at some it doesn't matter the interval, but along the way I have put them in order. Okay? Then I will be sure that my estimate will be correct. Everyone following? This path relaxation property is important. Okay? It will form the foundation for an algorithm. Okay? So it's important that you understand this. Basically, if I do it in order, but it doesn't matter how many steps I have in between, as long as I do them in order, at some point, I'm going to get the correct estimate. Okay? So this is what this is. Now you can, we can show this via induction. Okay? Where everybody here remember induction? We've done induction a couple times already. So remember induction. What you do is you show it true for the base case, right? And then you do make an inductive hypothesis. We say, okay, we assume that it's true for either k or k minus 1, right? And then we show it to be true for k. Right? Let's say we take k minus 1, then we show it to be true for k. Alright? And that's it. Right? So that's the inductive proofs basic flow in this one. Alright, so we're going to take some base case. Alright? Our base case is at the source node. And the source node is easy, it's always 0. Right? So that's our base case. Very simple. And now we're going to assume some inductive hypothesis. So we say that the distance for Vk minus 1 is equal to delta Vk minus 1. So it's correct. Essentially, it's the minimum distance. Okay, our estimate is correct. Alright? So we have some path, right, k minus 1, and we assume that the distance estimate is already correct. Now, inductive step. Now we assume that Vk is reachable from Vk minus 1 via one edge. Okay, so you have to assume that there's an edge there. Then the distance where our distance estimate is already correct. Okay. Now when we relax the edge, what happens? When we relax the edge, we are just going to go through k minus 1, right? And then we're going to add on k, which is the weight associated with that edge, and that will give us the minimum distance estimate for Vk. Right? This must be true. Okay, because it's on the way. So by the convergence property, which we proved earlier, after relaxation, this is maintained already. Right? It will never change. No matter how many relaxation steps or whatever you do, it will be maintained. So this proves the path relaxation property. Okay? This proves the path relaxation property. So let's summarize. We've done a lot of work. Let's summarize a little bit. It's a bit confusing, but let's summarize a little bit. Okay? What have we learned about shortest paths and relaxation? One, shortest path must be a simple path. Okay, we proved that earlier. Then when we're doing relaxations, we proved three different properties. The most important one is the last one, but we proved two properties to get there. Alright? One is the up or down property. It says that once the shortest path estimate is correct, it won't change anymore. No matter how many relaxations you do, it won't change. Okay? The convergence property says that, look, if I have a correct estimate up to vk minus 1, and I take one more step and I relax that edge, I'm going to have a correct estimate for that node that I just relaxed to, right? The destination of that node that I just relaxed to. The path relaxation property says that if I do it in order, no matter how many kind of interspersed edges I relax, right? If I relax the edges in some order, in the order of the shortest path, then I will get the correct estimate at the end. Right? So that's what the path relaxation property says. So maybe based on these three properties, you may think, okay, I have an algorithm. My algorithm is this. I'm going to look through all the edges in the graph, and I'm just going to relax them. Okay, I'm going to relax them. So how many people think that this algorithm will work? So do you think this algorithm will work? I look through all the edges once, and I relax them once, basically. Alright, do you think this works? How many people say yes? No? Maybe? Ask Naruto, but I haven't seen Naruto in a while. Alright, so it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Right? It doesn't work because we haven't exploited all of our newfound knowledge yet. Okay? We have forgotten some parts. Okay, but let me go revise. So here's an example of when one-time relaxation will not help you. Okay? So for example, I relax these three edges first, and then I have up to 11. Okay? Now, I haven't relaxed these edges yet, right? But the moment I relax this edge, this guy will have to be updated, and then I will have to update this person as well, right? But if I only relax this edge once, I'm going to get a wrong estimate. Okay, I'm going to get a wrong estimate. So I need to relax it several times in order to get it correct. Okay? So I'm going to ask you now, how many times must you relax? And which property do you think applies here? Which property is important? Especially important for this question. How many times must I relax? How many times should I relax? A particular edge, so that I make sure it's correct. So remember that your shortest path must be a simple path. Okay? It means that it can never have more than v minus 1 edges. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to relax, okay, v minus 1 times. Our algorithm will relax v minus 1 times. And the way it does it is I'm going to just loop from 1 to v minus 1. And I'm going to relax every edge in the graph. Okay, that's going to be my setup. I'm going to loop through 1 to v minus 1. And I'm going to relax every edge in the graph. Okay? Alright. Does this work? Does this work? So it does because of path relaxation. Alright? And we're going to show why. Okay, it's direct via path relaxation. There is another proof in Visual Go by induction. You can look at that as well. But since we've done all this work to show that path relaxation is a property, we're going to show that it's very trivial once you have the path relaxation property. So here it is. If my graph has no negative weight cycles, after Bellman-Ford terminates, we will have it that the distance estimate to some v will be, sorry, let me see, this is wrong. Never mind. I will just correct this. Sorry. Okay. So distance estimate at a particular node, right, will be correct. Right? It will be the minimum, it will be the shortest distance, right, from the source to that node. Okay, for all the nodes in the graph. Okay. So that's the theorem. I'm going to say it again. If there are no minimum weight cycles in the graph, no negative weight cycles in the graph, after Bellman-Ford terminates, your distance estimates are all correct, essentially. Okay, so that's what it says. So I'm first going to give you a pictorial kind of look at how the proof goes, and then we're going to show it. Okay. So pictorially it's like this. So imagine if this is my like shortest path. Okay, this is the minimum weight path. This is my shortest path. Okay, this is the correct one, but I don't know that in advance, of course. But this is my shortest one. The path is simple. There's no loops. We know this already, right? There are no cycles in the graph. It must be simple. Now, after one iteration, all my one hop estimates are correct. It must be the case. Why? Because remember the path relaxation said if P is the shortest path, right? If P is the shortest path, as long as I do relax the edge, right, in order, then my my estimate is correct. For one hop path, right, how many times must I relax an edge? Once. I only need to relax it once because there's only one, the shortest path only contains one edge. Right? So I need to relax it only once. Okay? So the moment I relax, I do one loop of this where I relax every edge in the graph, my one hop estimates are correct already. Okay? Along the true shortest paths. Okay? For true shortest path. Now, it might be the case that this path is shorter, right? It might be the case that this path is shorter. So I cannot stop yet. Okay? I cannot stop yet. I need to continue. So after two iterations, then my two hop estimates are correct. Why my two hop estimate is correct? Again by path relaxation. Because it means that to get to this node, right, to get to this node, my estimate, it will take two hops, right? So the length of the optimal path is 2 hops, right? And path relaxation says as long as I do that in order, I'm fine. Right? It doesn't matter which order I relax the edges in, as long as I've done it twice. Like the first, this one first, and the second one next, I'm fine. Right? So I repeat this process until I get to D. Alright? Where after 4 iterations, my estimate and D will be correct. Okay? So that's the idea based on path relaxation. Right? So we run until B minus 1 because we know that the shortest path can only have maximum B minus 1, of length B minus 1, right? B minus 1 edges in the shortest path, right? And Bellman will find all the shortest paths from S to all the other nodes in the graph. Okay? So let's do this again, this time more formally. Okay? So the proof sketch is direct. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to have some start node S and any destination T. Okay? The path is again some ordered couple from V0 to Vk, right? So where Vk, this is going to be T and this is going to be S. Right? So how long can P be? I've said this many times. Well, how long can P be? At most? So K must be smaller or equal to P minus 1. Okay, we know this. So what happens at each iteration? What happens? So at each iteration, we are relaxing all the edges, right? All the edges in the graph. So within the 1 to k iterations, right, we have relaxed, right, I minus 1 and I. From this edge, from V to I minus 1 to Vi. Right, in the iterations. Because we relax all the edges. So it must be the case that we relax Vi minus 1 to Vi, right, along the shortest path. Okay? It must be the case that we relax, because we relax all the edges at each iteration. So by the path relaxation property, after V minus iterations, we must have the correct estimate. Okay? So again, let's keep this in mind. What happens? Each iteration, I relax all the edges. Okay? And what did path relaxation say? Path relaxation say, if you have a shortest path, and maybe you don't know what it is, but as long as you have the shortest path and you relax the edges in order, right, you will get the correct distance estimate. That's what path relaxation says. Now, if at each iteration I'm relaxing all the edges, I must be that I hit the correct one, right? I hit the correct edge that I need to relax on this shortest path. And I do it for each iteration, right? So that's why Bellman-Ford works. Right? Bellman-Ford works because of path relaxation. Okay. So what is the running time for Bellman-Ford? Okay. What is the running time for Bellman-Ford? OB plus E, OBE, OBE, OE log B. We'll look at E log B later. No idea? Okay, so this should be straightforward. Here we run it for V times, right? And internally, each one of these run for E times. So it's V And relaxation, each step of relaxation is just O1. Okay, so it's E. Good. So can we terminate early for Bellman Ford? What do you think? Do you think that we can terminate early? So talk to your friend next to you. When do you think that you can stop Bellman Ford ahead of time? Do you have to do all B-1 iterations? Or maybe there's a way that you can terminate a little bit early. So I'll give you a minute. Okay, talk to your friend next to you. And let's see whether you can figure out whether you can quit Bellman Ford a little bit earlier to save you some time. Okay, minutes up. So how many people think that, do you need more time? More time? Anybody needs more time? No? Okay, so I'll poll. When do you think you can terminate early? Can you terminate early when a relaxed operation has no effect? One relaxed operation has no effect. How many people think yes? No? How about when two consecutive relaxed operations have no effect? No. How about when an entire sequence of E relaxed operations have no effect? Few, point number. How many people never? You have to do it. You have to do all B-1 complete iterations. Nobody. Okay. So you're right. Why is it the case that when you have a complete sequence of E relaxed operation that has no effect, right? Why can you stop after that? Well, why is it the case that you can stop? So if I continue on for the next iteration, right? So I run through my iteration, I see there's no change. I run all the relaxations on all the edges, and there has no change whatsoever to my relaxation. So I run it again. Will there be any change to any of the distance estimates? No. Once you have relaxed all the edges and there's no change, if you were to run it again, there would be no change again, right? So you can stop at that point. Once you see that your sequence of relaxation operations have no effect, they don't change any distance estimates, you can stop. Okay? So there's no way, essentially, no faster way to get from one node to any other, right? Once you have no objects. Okay? All right. So remember that we had the case of negative edge weights, right? If you have negative edge weights, Bellman Ford is fine. Bellman Ford has no problem whatsoever. But if you have a negative weight cycle, which looks like this, right? This is a negative weight cycle, right? Then you have a bit of a problem, right? I remember saying that all our proofs before will rely on the fact that there are no negative weight cycles because we assume kind of a single path. So it's infinitely negative. Can we detect it? How can we detect negative weight cycles in a graph using Bellman Ford? Very good. Okay. So you run, instead of running for B-1, you run for V iterations. You run for one more iteration. Okay? At B-1 iterations, you know that if the shortest path, if it's a simple path, you know that your distances are all correct already. There's nothing left that will change. That's why you only run for B-1 iterations. If you run for B iterations and you see there is a change, something is wrong. Okay? And the something that is wrong is that there is a negative weight cycle. Right? So that's what's wrong if you that's how you detect whether there's a negative weight cycle in a graph. Okay, using Bellman Ford. So instead of running for B-1, you're running for B iterations, and you just see whether there's a change or not. If there's a change, that means that you have this infinite you have this cycle where you can infinitely decrease the cost. Okay. Okay, what happens if your edges all have the same weight? So this is a special case. All your edges cost 3 here. What can we do? What algorithm can you try? BFS, great. You just run BFS, right? This is a special case where all the edges are the same weight. Then it's just like 1. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. So you just want to minimize the number of hops, and then you run BFS. Okay, very simple. So there are different kind of special cases. Belmont is the grandmama of the algorithms that we are going to be discussing next. Okay. So Belmont for single source shortest path. Okay. So Belmont is OBE. Right. In unweighted graphs, we can run BFS, and BFS we know is B plus E, which is more efficient than BE. Okay. If there are no negative weights, if all the weights are positive, we can run something called Dijkstra's algorithm. We'll learn about that next week. Okay. And then if you have a tree, you can run BFS and BFS. And if you have a DAG, then you can run things in topological sort order, and we'll talk about that. Okay. So this is the Bellman-Ford algorithm. Oh, I forgot to mention that it was invented by Richard Bellman. Richard Bellman is one of our famous computer scientists, and he's famous for taking stuff from control and like introducing it to computer science. There's something called the Bellman optimality criterion, or the Bellman equation. How many people know of like this DeepMind, Atari playing games and things like that? Have you seen that? Like the computer that plays games, like does it better than human beings? Have you seen that? Okay, so that's trained using reinforcement learning. And a key step in the reinforcement learning algorithm is the Bellman equation. Okay, and it's contributed by Richard Bellman. Right? So there's a lot of all these topics are linked, which makes computer science so exciting, right? Okay, so the key way that we are going to get our better algorithms. Why do I say that Bellman is the grandmama? Okay, why do I say that Bellman is the grandmama algorithm? It's because in this algorithm, I don't tell you how I should relax the edges. I just say you relax all the edges. Doesn't matter what order, because the path relaxation property doesn't care about that, right? So it says as long as eventually you get the path order right, doesn't matter. Okay? But if you're a little bit smarter about the way you do these relaxations, you can get better performance. Okay? That's the key step. Okay? The key insight is if I relax the order in a particular clever way, I can get better performance. Right? And that's what we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to look at one of them today. We have about 15 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to look at the tree. Alright? We're going to look at BFS statements. Okay. So let's look at the undirected weighted tree. Okay, this is the special case that we're going to talk about now. So we're going to redefine trees. So you guys have seen trees before in terms of BST, BBST, so you've seen trees before. But let's define it in terms of graph terminology. Okay. So what is an undirected tree? An undirected tree is a graph with no cycles. Okay, and then you take a moment to convince yourself that this is actually a tree. Okay, a graph with no cycles is a tree. You think about it. Okay. What is a rooted tree? A rooted tree is a tree that has a special designated root node. Okay, you just pick one of the nodes, and that's going to be our special node, and it's rooted at that node. Okay. So we have this is our previous definition, right? Which is a node with 1, 2, or more subtrees. This is our previous recursive definition of tree, and they are equivalent. Okay. So this is our undirected weighted tree. Okay. And assume that you can only cross an edge once on your path. Okay, you can do this. How many ways can I get from S to D? No backpedaling. Okay, you can go close. So how many ways can I get from S to D in a tree? One way. There's only one way. It's a tree, right? There's only one way. So imagine if you're BST, so there's only just one way, right? To get there. Same here, alright? There's just one way to get there. Right? So that's how. It's a tree. There's only one way. Okay, only one way. So we're going to use this insight in order to relax the nodes in a more optimal manner. Okay, we're going to relax the nodes in a more optimal manner. So the way we're going to do it is via DFS or DFS, because there is only one way to get to a particular part from the source to any other node. Okay. So imagine if we relax in DFS order, well, we would just go down, right, and for 3, and we keep relaxing. Okay, as we go. Right? We relax in TFS order. Again, what I'm doing is TFS, right? So I'm going to go all the way until I cannot go anymore. Then I backtrack and I check any unexplored paths, and I backtrack again. So backtrack from here, go back here, and then check the unexplored path, and I keep going down and update and doing relaxations as I go. Okay, once I do relaxations, the relaxation is order, I'm good. Right, I'm good. And why does this work? Because once I update a node, I never actually have to update it again. Right? Because there's only phase speed is there. So I never actually have to update it again, which is very nice. Okay, it's a nice property of trees. So what is the running time for this case? For a tree, going from one node to all the others. Okay? What is the running time for this? Is it OB? OB? OE? OB plus E? OBE? Naruto says it's not C. Anybody want to change the answer? So what's the special property of trees? How many edges are there in the tree? In the tree, every node has one parent, right? Right? So how many edges are there in the tree? Think about that. Okay? B by E is not wrong, it's just an upper bound. It's not a type upper bound. Okay? In fact, you have only how many edges? Every node only has one. Right? Think about that and see that it's actually on the order of B or E. In this case, they are on the same order. Okay? Alright. So every node has one parent except the root, of course, and so you have OB equals OE edges. Right? Alright, so we've covered Bellman Ford, right? We know why it works. It works essentially with relaxation, fund relaxation property. And now we can do single sorted paths. And we can describe its time complexity, and we know when it will fail. So it will fail when we have negative wave cycles, right? But we can detect them. So it's not a big deal. If it has a negative wave cycle, we run it for B iterations, and then we just check, did something change? If it changed, it means that it's a negative wave cycle, right? So, next week, we'll be talking about special cases, Dijkstra and topological sort, right? In the meantime, are there any questions? Because Bellman Ford is important, like it forms the foundation for Dijkstra and the DAG algorithm, it's important that you understand why it works and how it works. Yeah?
Yeah, you say non-stop contains if
How do you know that?
hash map contains key.
The one that what?
If it's true, right, then all it
Yeah, when update happens, right? Where there's a change, right? That's where you know that that node, that edge must be involved in the
because
negative.
if it's true, right, that means your key already exists.
Any more
I think
questions?
there was one element that was inside before.
Okay, if there are no questions, then I'll see you next week. I'll be around for questions till 1:30. Okay.
Then just, it's contained in this